Hey there, good day everybody. This is Shireen here, and I want to give a piano lesson and a little bit about music theory to those that are interested, in music and getting a little deeper than just being an aficionado, I guess they call them, or listener. So, and hopefully I can get this so you can just do some basic stuff. This is your basic keyboard. This is a synthesizer, so it's not a real piano. Most pianos have 88 keys. This one probably doesn't. Of course, I haven't counted them. I guess I could get really bored and count them. But no, I didn't do that. So anyways, here, I'm getting in here. I'm just showing you the basics. These synthesizers are amazing. They sound great. They're a lot cheaper than a real piano. And here. They sound pretty good. Of course, this is a very expensive one because I'm using it to, do some, some work on it. So, all right. Anyways, everybody knows what a piano keyboard looks like. There's basically an 88 keys in a normal piano. This one, like I said, is smaller. So anyways, when looking at the piano, if you go to the very middle of the keyboard and pick the split it in half, you see here, this is called middle C. And the reason it's called middle C, of course, because it's in the middle of the piano keyboard. So, and that's a really good place to start because, this can get really complicated really quickly. It's, like I said, it can get complicated, and I'll explain why in a minute. Now, if you look carefully at this keyboard, I'm on the end of the keyboard there, see? It's the same pattern over and over again. See, you see the 2 black keys, and then the 3 black keys. Two black keys, 3. It's the same thing, and it's basically the same notes, in repetition, which it does make it easier. So, anyways, if you keep that in mind, it won't be as complicated. Okay, so here's your middle C. Most here I'll put it on. Most songs are made up in from like key signature, or they're in certain keys, and here's your C, and it's comprised of basically a scale, and it's a series of notes. And when you're first starting to learn the piano, they want you to make to practice these scales, and that can get really boring. I never practiced enough scales in my training on the piano, but I probably should have. I'd probably be further along with music. So anyways, so if you look carefully at these different patterns, see the different pattern. I'm sorry, it's the same pattern. And all right, here's your C. And so here's your C. They call it the C major scale. And I'll play it for you really quickly. It's just all these white keys, from 1 to this key here. All right, so 1, C. That's a C, D, E, F, G. And then they go to A, B, C. Now, why they do that, I don't know. This piano is a very old instrument, so I guess you'd have to Google the history of piano. So that's basically your C major scale, and it's comprised of, they call them whole steps and half steps. The whole steps, if you notice, they have this black key in the middle. So there's your C and your D, and then this is a half step. It's halfway between the note of C and D, so they call it C sharp. So this is C, D, but the black key is C sharp. So that's important to remember because these half notes, whole notes are very important in music and in your scales. Okay, so anyways, that's your basically C major scale, which is like here's your whole note. Now, if you look carefully here, this one has no has no half note there. Now, why they do that, I have no idea. But all as you look at all 8 of these, I'm sorry, this whole series of these keys here, it's all this. It's all laid out the same, which, like I said, makes it a lot easier in the long run. Now, if you look carefully, see if you go like this, that's your middle C here, and then you have your C here. You know the higher, but if you listen carefully, it's the same note. It's just higher. And that is called an octave. Octave meaning 8. So if you go like that, and if you listen to here, same thing with this one. If you listen carefully, there is 8. 8 notes separate. So anyways, well, this may be it for this first of music lessons. And like I said, it's a lot of fun. And so there's your 8. Here's your scale. These are 8 notes. Now, what it is that there's many keys. There's all these different keys, and so therefore that scale can basically be moved up the keyboard with a series of these half notes and whole notes. So it's like, so for example, like if, okay, that was your C major scale, with the 2 C's, but if you move up one, here's your D, and it's the same, the D scale is, so there's your octave there, and that's your scale in this key of D. Now, that's what gets complicated about music, is because there's all these different keys, and songs can be written in these different keys. Songs that are written in the key of C, as you notice, it's all the white keys. It's easier to play because you don't have to mess around with the black keys. The minute you start putting those sharps and flats, in there, it gets complicated. Now, many years ago, I wrote a song so I could get more familiar with these, the different keys and key signatures. And so so my hands would kind of automatically know where to go. And I think this song might illustrate, what these keys mean and how different they can really sound. So I'm going to go ahead and play the song in the key of C. And then I'll go ahead and play it in the key of D. And of course, I haven't played this song in a while. So if I mess it up, I apologize in advance. Okay, you ready? Okay, that's in your key of C. Now I'm going to go into the C sharp. It's the same song, but with the same series of flats and sharps, and starting in this key of C sharp. So if you listen to how differently this is going to sound. Like I said, I hope I don't mess it up. So that was your key of C sharp. That one's a lot harder to play because I'm into those black keys. Now the key of D, and I did this with all 8 of the key signatures, so I could be really well versed in these different keys because I do like how different they can sound. I write music on the piano, so that's why it's important for me. Someone like me, the average listener, the average person, probably won't have songs in these really difficult key signatures, unless you plan to, take it to the next level and, learn some, Bach and whatnot. It has these different key signatures. Okay, so I'll play it one more time in the key of D just so you can get the idea. Well, there you go. Oh, one more thing, too, as long as I'm doing all this. These keys, when you blend them together, can be what they call chords. And chords, of course, everybody knows a guitar has all these chords. I mean, if you play the guitar, you know that. But they're basically like two notes together. For example, like this is C, and then up here was your G. But when you play it together, here I'll show that like that. That's your 5 notes apart. And so that is what they call a fifth. It's the first position, and the 5th position is your 5th. And okay, same thing with those 2 notes together. It's just the first position, the second position. Well, guess what that one's called? The second. Same thing with the third, is the first and the third position, called third. So anyways, that's your third. The third should sound pretty familiar because that's used quite a lot in if you are going to do harmonizing. People that harmonize in choirs and whatnot, or in bands, they do this third. The main singer sings the lower of the notes, and then the harmonizer goes up a third, and that's why it sounds very pretty vocally. So anyways, I like thirds a lot. When I write my songs and music, I sometimes get an idea in my head, and then I add thirds and fifths and ninths and tenths and stuff, and etc. to these, to this song, so you can, so it gives it dimension. So for example, I wrote a song a while back in fourths, because I like for some reason I kind of like that sound. But I wrote a song, and the whole right hand is in fourths, moving up and down the keyboard. So, for example, I'll just play a little bit of it, but... Oh, shit, sorry. Here, I'll play the whole thing, just so you can get an idea. So hold on a second. Got to put this down for a second, just so you can hear it. But so yeah, sorry, I was kind of. That song basically has all fifths in the left hand and all fourths in the right hand. So anyways, like I said, it's a lot of fun to play with, and just by getting a little keyboard, noodling around with these, now that you know some basic music theory, I hope this is helpful to any of those that are out there that are interested in learning some of the basics. Bye.